Hey everybody, it's me again. I'm back with my four-letter F word again. Today we're going to be installing some running lights on this truck. I'd really like to have them. So, I have tools, I have parts. Let's get started. First, let's fix this ugly headlight. Alright, now that that's done, let's get back to the lights. Admittedly, these lights are not designed as running lights. However, they're weatherproof, they're very tough, they're cheap, and there's a bunch of them, so I can do this more than once if I want to. They are very bright. They're not really meant to be a headlight, they're just meant to be as something that can make this truck more visible during the daylight when it's going down the road. Now we have to figure out where all the components of these lights are going to go. The lights themselves is kind of a non-issue. They're going to go up here on the front of the truck somewhere. That's not a problem. But we also have this, a relay block. This relay has a built-in fuse. It also has this little mounting bracket that makes it a lot easier for keeping it in place once you put it somewhere. Very well built, heavy-duty wires. That's your common ground wire. That's your remote wire that tells the switch of the relay to turn on and off. And then you have output power, input power. You always want to use a relay on something that's drawing a lot of wattage in a car, because the fuses inside of here, the switches inside of your fuse box, are not designed to handle the kind of wattage that, say, a light bar or these lights would be able to draw from your electrical system. You need something to protect them. This is a great way to do it. These are inexpensive. Use a relay. So I have a relay here already that's for the light bar that's already on the front of this truck. So that's a good mounting spot. There's plenty of clearance above it for the hood of the truck, so it's not going to be hit by anything. And I can still use this common ground and mounting point for this new relay. Ground. This ground runs to the light bar itself. So we'll be putting that back. And this ground that's squeezing out from underneath is the ground for the actual relay block itself. That will also be going back. I can get this bolt off of here. There. Now, I have my common ground here for this relay and a ground here for this relay, and the ground wire for the light bar that already exists is reconnected down under here as well to the metal of the chassis. My next step involves the multimeter. I have my multimeter out and I have it set to DC at 50 volts, just because it only goes from 10 to 50. If I set it at 10, it'll probably burn up my meter. So I set it at 50 volts, and I can use this to find my constant power and my remote power from my fuse box. All right, I'm gonna get into the fuse panel here under the hood, see what I can see. Yep, those are fuses. Now, I'm going to take the negative side of my meter and connect it over here on the battery. Now I have my positive terminal. I'm going to test it on the battery to make sure that my meter is reading properly. And there we go. You see it jumps up to 12 volts. We're getting a good reading on the meter. All right, so in the book of Manuel, on page 294, chapter F, we see that circuit number 37 is actually an ignition operated circuit, which means it's on when the key is on and it's off when the key is off. That's the remote that we're looking for. So we're going to tap into that power to use it as the remote to turn our lights on and off. All right, we have our jumper wire in there on circuit number 37. We have it tied into our meter. Let's turn the ignition on and see what happens. And just like that, you see the meter went up to 12 volts. We have our remote. All right, I have my remote wire hooked up here. Got a little heat shrink on it to weatherproof it some, going to the white wire into the relay as per the diagram. Next is going to be the red wire, which is going to go straight over to the battery. Okay, so I got it. What I decided to do, since I have a common ground here for all of them, that fuse runs to the battery, runs under here to power this relay for the light bar. It's also going to power the relay to run the LEDs on the front. They're not going to draw a whole lot of power. This is my output for them. So I'm going to connect my meter to this and we'll test it and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I have the meter set up. Ground is on the battery, positive on the output. Turn on the ignition. And we have power. All right, so both relays are rewired. I have all the wires in place. I have the lights mounted on the front of the truck where I want them to be. So the next step is to try them out and see how they look.